So here we are. We are in week 3 already of a series called A New Year, New You. It's not even new anymore, but hey, it's still pretty new. It's now February. Spring is here, though, apparently, so I don't know. I think it's an accelerated course for moving right through the winter, skipping over the necessary rain conditions. So we have to do some new thoughts about that. So last week we talked about your new self-image. And we boiled it all down to very simply saying that, what you really are is not what you see in the mirror or any story that you've ever made up about yourself or anyone else has reflected back to you. You are this image and likeness of the one presence, the one power, the one life, love. You are spiritual. That is what you really are. And to begin to see ourselves that way, or to remember to see ourselves as a spiritual being, changes our experience of life in profound ways, does it not? So we're here, and that's what a spiritual community is for, is to call you all back individually and collectively to the recognition and the remembering of what you are, what you really are. So this week, we're not going to leave that entirely, because why would we? But we are going to tag onto that with this idea of your new purpose. And so to understand what our purpose is, it is just a very small movement from understanding what we are. And it's to simply say why you are. Why you are. What you are, spiritual being, why you are. Why you are. May not be good English, but I like it. It'll keep your attention. You'll be making notes, and then you'll send them to me. So what is a purpose? What is purpose for our life in a context of a spiritual understanding? Of course, that's what we're always about here, but it's quite simply this. It's to give expression to what you are. Yeah? If you know what you are, and we've already established that, then the purpose for this life, ultimately, and from its most pure sense, must be to express what you are. Yeah? Now, that doesn't take into account all those workshops you've been to, right? To find your purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing and who I'm supposed to be with, and this whole sort of color my parachute kind of idea of finding out what you're supposed to be doing in this life. I don't really care about that. Really, the universe does not really care about that. Now you may care about that, or a part of you may care about that. But see, I think if you get this piece down, if we get really clear about what you are, and that you find a way to express what you are in and through whatever vehicle it is that you decide on, through whatever you might be doing with your physicality, with your creativity, with your gifts, with your personality, with all those things which are sort of the added unto part, yeah? What's been added unto, when the Spirit of the living God incarnated in you, and you became an avatar of sorts. You became one expression of the presence of God, and it took form. And that form has a particular set of qualities and characteristics and propensities and talents and good things, bad things. We know it's all there. But what if, instead of being so concerned about sort of leaping over this question of expressing what you are, we spent time there? What if that was really the first thing that we addressed in any kind of a decision about what's next for us in our life? Yeah? If we're looking at how this year might be different, we can write all these set of goals and resolutions about, what we're going to be doing and what we're not going to be doing and what we're going to be starting and what we're going to be quitting and all those things. But what if first and foremost we were really clear about that we are here to express what we are? And then with that intention being at the foundation of those questions, that we would then be guided in a very, very authentic way of showing up with the gifts that we have articulated and expressed in the most divine way possible, yeah? Because life is not interested in the phenomena. And the phenomena is all those things in life that come and go. And if we're trying to kind of and more through, what's that word? Anthropomorphize the God for a moment here. I know this is very, very ununity-like to do this, to put God in a sort of a being. But if we were going to ask this question that we can relate to as human beings, what is God's will for my life? And what is God's will? You know, Jesus had this big thing about what, not my will, but thine be done. And it came for him at a very difficult moment in his life. And it was a turning point when he allowed for this higher purpose to his life to be, to take him over, to take the lead, to draw him through the tendency to pull back or to express in a less than divine way. So if we look at God's will from the standpoint of God being the creator, what would the will of the creator be? I would say, maybe you would agree, the will of the creator is that its creation fully express itself. That whatever you are as a spiritual being, you are here to express it. And that the will of the divine is that it see its expression through its creation. Yeah? So if we're wondering what's really behind this impulse, oftentimes that we feel to grow and to do something different, or a sense of dissatisfaction with our work or in our relationships or in some aspect of our life, and we can try to find out what's the source of that discomfort. What is that uncomfortableness? I would say that it is the divine will seeking to press itself through us, to allow itself to be made known to us and then expressed through us. That there be a willingness for you and I to align ourselves with how love would be more thoroughly and fully and unconditionally expressed. This would be the will of God. And there's a whole litany or whole list of divine qualities that we can talk about, and they would cover all aspects of life and all of our relationships if we would just take a moment, and that's what today is about, to think about that. I know that for many people, and maybe you're not one of them, but maybe you are, there's a tendency to compartmentalize our life. And so we have our spiritual life, and we do that on Sunday morning. We go to church, or we go to a temple or mosque or whatever. And then then on Monday, it's back to work. And then that's our career life. Now, that's that compartment, yeah? And then we have my family life. And so when I come home from work, and then I'm with my family, that requires a certain kind of energy and certain interaction and skill set and sensibilities. And then there's my financial life. Oh boy, yeah. Then I got to put on my accountant hat and my stewardship consciousness, and I need to be able to rub two nickels together really well, or whatever that is. And then back to Sunday, then it's my spiritual life again. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about having a purpose for our life that never gets set aside, whether we're working or with our family or we're writing our bills. What is it that we would be so conscious of in the midst of life, or that we could bring forward into our awareness that could serve us to be in full alignment, in full congruence with what we are in and through our life, no matter what we're doing with this life, yeah? Isn't that what practical spirituality is about? It's where you don't have to step in and out of this notion of God, because we don't have any dogma here. You know, we don't have any doctrine. We have a few prayers and things, but for the most part, we're really saying that the spiritual life is a moment by moment remembering of what you are and calling that forth, yeah? And that's the purpose of life. And it has everything to do with foundationally what we are. This serves us really well when times are tough. And Russ said that so beautifully this morning. Viktor Frankl, who wrote about the horrors of the Holocaust, said that he studied people, and he said the ones that were able to just survive the most unspeakable conditions were those who, he said, could withstand any what if they had a sufficient why. And that's what purpose is. It gives us a why. It gives us a why. It gives us why am I doing this? And the world will give us a confounding understanding of what something is worth doing or not. Because there's always another opinion. Have you noticed? When you think you have a great idea and you tell your sister or your mother, and they completely disagree with you, they don't think it's a good idea or not. So if we're looking to the world and we're looking for other people for agreement, when we have this sense of what we're supposed to be doing with our life and how we're supposed to be showing up, we're going to find a lot of conflicts, yeah? But what if we don't need to check in with other people, of course, unless it's going to affect them, we need to be considerate. But what if when we're looking for what is going to drive our decision is going to be this question: is this me in greater expression of what I am? And if it is, and it's not going to harm another person, then it's a yes for me. And you may not agree. Family members may think you're a little crazy. It doesn't matter, because what you're interested in is aligning yourself with the will of the divine. You're here to align yourself with the greater expression of what you are, which is love and peace and wholeness and joy and creativity, yeah? And when you're doing that, I would say that you are one happy camper, yeah? And most likely, if you're happy, those people around you who may not agree with your decisions are probably going to be happier too, yeah? Because when you're authentic, when you're living the life that feels like who you've come here to be, then you are automatically going to be congruent. And there's going to be an energy flow from you. There's going to be an open-heartedness. There's going to be an open-mindedness. There's going to be an optimism. There's going to be a sense of possibility. There's going to be, you're going to really radiate, yeah? Because you are in the flow of the one. You are doing what you came here to do. You are doing what every one of us has come here to do, which is to express yourself as you truly are. And then the form becomes secondary. But you're grounded and you're established, and the rock upon which you build your life is this an authentic expression of what I am. And you'll know, because you get immediate feedback on that. Do you know this one? You don't have to go up to someone and go, I'm not sure if I'm authentically expressing who I am. Could you help me with that? Most people probably would help you with that. They would say, well, you do have a certain glow about you. You do have this certain, this little heightened enthusiasm for life. And so that's definitely clear. But you will know this, and you will know it by its fruits. And its fruits may have something to do with what the world calls fruits, or it may not. But that does not matter to the spiritual being that you are. How are we doing on time? Time is flying, as it always does. So, alignment. Now, these are the two things: alignment and elevation and legacy. Those are the 3 points I intended to make. And if you come to the second service, that's what we'll talk about. No, we have time. So I've really kind of covered alignment. Alignment just meaning aligning your purpose with spiritual values and principles and all those things that you can. Let's throw them out there. I've said some. What are the spiritual values that you would say, if you were going to articulate those, that you could express in life? What are they? Love, kindness, joy, gratitude, wisdom, freedom. acceptance, fullness, wholeness, tolerance, forgiveness. Did someone say forgiveness? I think you did. Yes, yes. Gratitude, yeah. Abundance, yeah. So these are the principles. So aligning your purpose with these principles is really the game. This is the game we're here to play. We got into a physical body, but we cannot be convinced that our life is just about this physical body and going through life and grabbing all the gusto you can get. Remember that bumper stick? You don't see it very often. I guess we've become more evolved, but it used to be the one who dies with the most toys wins. Remember that one? And I used to wonder, wins what? You die, you're dead. What have you won? You've won. Somebody has to have a giant garage sale and a memorial at the same time. I don't know what that is. It's like, but there is that consciousness, and it still lives in many of us. There's this idea of there's something about accumulation and possession and acquisition that is the voice that's besides this high and mighty voice of spiritual principle. There's this voice that's like, yeah, but I need to get another degree. I really think I got a master's, but shouldn't I go for the PhD? And what about this house is okay, but I can't really see the ocean from here. Shouldn't I be wanting an ocean view house? And shouldn't I be driving something? And blah, 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 all that stuff. And we've all been there, and it's nothing wrong with it. The problem with it is it doesn't lead to any sense of fulfillment. It's very fleeting. Have you noticed? It's very fleeting. It's like going out to your favorite restaurant, and it's all wonderful. And then you get to the end of the meal, and it's over, and you're full, and you've got a $200 bill to pay, and you're like, oh, gosh, okay. And the memory begins to fade, and there it goes. There it's gone, So what we're looking for is when we're really understanding our purpose and we're really fulfilling ourselves through the expression of what we are, then that is self-fulfilling. In other words, we're fulfilling our sense of self. Yeah, we are adding to the experience of wholeness when we express wholeness. We are adding to the sense of love when we are sharing love. We are adding to the sense of peacefulness when we are a peaceful warrior in the world, when we are sharing this understanding of peace. So it's a self-fulfilling and it's a self-generating kind of energy that it doesn't take from us, it doesn't disappoint us, it doesn't leave us with less when we are in this business of expressing what we are. And that's why it is the spiritual solution to every situation in life. It's to get back to our divine purpose. And so elevating your purpose is the idea that we can lift higher no matter what it is that we're doing in life, yeah? And I like this story from Scripture where there was this man who was wanting to see Jesus, who was doing what Jesus was doing and hanging out with people and healing people and so forth. And his name was Zacchaeus, and he was the chief tax collector, a very wealthy man, but not highly thought of. Some things don't change, apparently. But so he wanted to see who Jesus was. He'd heard stories of this great man. But because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. And so what he did is he ran ahead and he climbed up this big sycamore tree so that he could get a view of Jesus. So to hear that story, we look at this story metaphysically, all of us at times can be short-sighted. We can all miss what it is that we really want to see. We can really be looking at the appearances of life and feeling that that's what we really need to manage and manipulate and make better. And we miss this understanding that we've been talking about this morning, that there is a greater purpose for my life than acquiring and accumulating and possessing, yeah? And so what do we need to do? We need to move into a higher consciousness. We need to move into that part of our mind, or however you visualize your beingness, where you can transcend the ordinary surface mind understanding and be able to see with the mind of your true nature. And when you see from the mind of your true nature, you do get to recognize your Christ qualities. You do get to recognize this love that is without condition and this peace that passes human understanding from this consciousness that is already there. It's not something you have to develop. Isn't that good news? You don't have to go back to school. Aren't you grateful? You don't need another degree. You don't need to read one more book. Oh my God. I've stopped reading books. Has anyone else stopped reading? No, none of you have. I've just stopped reading. I just feel like I've read so much. I need to sit with what's been given. I need to move into this consciousness that's already mine. And I'm not saying stop reading, but I'm saying whatever it is that's going to get your elevator to go to the top, what's going to get you up on the rooftop, what's going to get you into the upper room of consciousness, what's going to get you at a place where you're going to be able to see beyond the appearances, as Jesus said, yeah? And be able to see with righteous understanding what really matters. And then to call that up, to bring whatever it is that you're doing and aligning with these principles from this elevated understanding of who you are, and then give it away. Give it away. Give your gift, whatever it is. Give it away unconditionally. Don't do it for the money. Don't. If you're doing it for the money, you're going to be back down in the surface mind again. Give it away. Find a way to make whatever you do more an act of God, more an act of love, more an act of bringing peace into the world. Because that's not only what you need to be happy, but that's what the world needs, yeah? Doesn't the world need people that are in service to the one, in service to the presence of love? Isn't that what the world needs? Isn't that what the world is hungering for? Is that people stop clamoring for a set of limited resources and find within themselves this capacity to love freely and openly, and to bring and find that place of peace within ourselves and to share that with others? Isn't that what this world needs? Isn't that the legacy that you want to leave? Instead of that pile of stuff or the stories that people will tell, don't you want to make a difference in somebody's life that will outlive you? All the people we talk about, the ones that we have holidays for, are people, well, maybe with some exceptions. Some of the presidents they weren't always good, but they did some good things. We won't go down that road. But when we think more recently of Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King, we think of people whose vision for their life outlasted them. In fact, they all had a vision of life that would transcend the parameters of their physical life, that would transcend everything that they could see or accomplish within the parentheses of a physical life. They had an understanding or a dream or a vision of something that was so fundamentally divine and so fundamentally the right of every person that it would outlast them. But they must do their part to bring it into fruition while they are here. And the ones that do that, and we are the ones that can do that, are the ones that will leave a legacy here of a better world. I'll leave this with this quote. I had this on my desktop for many years when I was raising 2 boys. And it was to remind me when I could get so caught up in all of the other worldly commitments and concerns that rob me of my time and my energy. And it says this: 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, or the kind of car that I drove. But the world may be different. Because I was important in the life of a child. Our youngest son just moved to Indiana, so a little tender spot there. But the point is this. We don't know how much time we have left. Why would we want to waste a moment doing something that wasn't contributing to the awareness of what we know to be true, of what we know to be good, what we know to be beautiful, what we know to be the answer, you know? And even if it's the smallest little thing, even if it's you're walking through the park and you see a little piece of paper and you pick up that piece of paper, or you report a water leak somewhere and your neighbor forgives you. Just saying. There's a million beautiful things that we can do, some of them small. But there is no such thing. You know, Mother Teresa said, it's not about doing great things. It's about doing small things with great love. And we all have this great love. And we feel so honking good when we're doing it. Yeah? We do. The story of the little boy that came upon all the starfish that were laying up on the beach. You probably heard this story before. A storm had come and all these starfish had gotten washed up on the beach, and this old man was walking along and he saw this little boy. He was flinging these starfish back into the water. And the old man said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm trying to save these starfish." And the old man says, "Well, there must be 10,000 starfish here. There's no way that you can make a difference to these starfish." And the little boy picked up one more, flung it as far as he could into the surf and said, "It made a difference to that one." So, namaste.